Hello, friends. The topic that we shall be discussing today in this episode is interviewing and types of news leads. We'll also discuss the structure of a news story, articles, different types of features, and the difference between an article and a feature. I am Sakshi Mandwal, and the subject expert is Mr. S. K. Singh. He possesses more than 25 years' experience in the mainstream media. Presently, he is deputy editor in Outlook magazine. Prior to this, he was business editor of Dainik Bhaskar. He has taken sessions as a guest faculty in various institutions, including Amity University and Galgotia University. The objectives of this episode are to know how to prepare for and conduct an interview, to understand the structure of a news and different types of news leads, to learn how to write a news lead, feature, and an article. Let us begin with the definition of interview and its importance. Interview is a particular kind of conversation in which the interviewee gives some valuable and newsworthy information. It is important because journalists get first-hand information from the interviewee. Some information might be big breaking news. Good interviews are based on two things: persistence and preparation. Persistence is needed to persuade people to be interviewed. Sometimes the interviewee may not give time or postpone the schedule, but if he is worthy enough, he can be persuaded. Preparations for the interview. The first step towards preparing for an interview is in-depth research. Since the subject and the person to be interviewed both are known in advance, it is better to get some background information. Find out what are the latest developments related to the subject. Search whether the interviewee has said anything important in the recent past. It will help in framing the questions. Be ready with at least 10 questions. More questions might arise during the discussion. Interviewee may ask to send the questions first, but make it clear to him that some more queries might arise as per the situation. Questions should be specific, but begin the interview with an open-ended question. Avoid questions that can be answered in yes or no. If it is a corporate interview, you can visit the social media profile of the interviewee to know his background and interests. To know about the developments related to the company, you can visit its website. An interview is useless if it doesn't reveal anything new, useful, interesting, or interviewee at least tells something controversial. For that, frame some tough questions. At the same time, you must keep in mind that the interviewee does not get too annoyed, so have a mixed bag of questions. Always arrive before the scheduled time. Come prepared with a notebook, pen, and recording device. Nowadays, everybody has a mobile phone. Interview can be recorded in it also. During the interview, better keep it in do not disturb mode. Conducting an interview. As you are prepared with the questions, it is important to know how to conduct an interview. It is being said that the interviewee mirrors the interviewer's behavior. So get relaxed and speak comfortably. Do not read your questions. Ask them if you are in conversation with him. Better if you memorize them. Then you will not have to look at the notebook again and again. While asking questions, look into the eyes of the interviewee. Listen to the answers carefully because it may lead to another question or it might include an answer to your another question. Take notes even if you're recording the interview, but you don't need to write every word. Sometimes the interviewee might not respond the way you want. You must be prepared for such a situation. Getting friendly with him or her might help. Remember, conversation is the key to good interviewing. Learn to listen, interrupt only if interview is digressing too much and you are on deadline. If you are going to interview the Prime Minister or President of the state or any other such personality, their PRO will ask for questions in advance. At the end, ask the interviewee, anything else you would like to add? it gives him the scope to share some extra information. While writing the copy, it is not necessary to write the questions and answers in the same chronology that you had asked. Edit the words which you feel unnecessary. The interviewee may ask for the copy to see before it goes to print. There is nothing wrong in it, but ask him or her not to deviate the tone of the interview. Types of interview. An interview can be held face to face, written, over telephone, or over a video app. Face to face interview. This is the best way of interviewing because due to conversational style, the interviewer has the opportunity to ask more questions or even interrupt if the interviewee deviates. If the interviewer avoids any questions, he or she can be persuaded with a related query. It helps in building rapport, which ultimately makes the interview fruitful. Telephonic or video app interview. It is useful when the interviewer and the interviewee are at a distance or when the deadline is near. During COVID-19 crisis, when everyone was avoiding personal meetings, it became very common. Written interview. Questions are sent to the interviewee via email, WhatsApp, and he or she writes the answers accordingly. Though it is seldom employed, people preferred it during the COVID crisis. In a written interview, a follow-up question cannot be asked. It also lacks personal touch, so a written interview must be the last option. Specialized interview. Sometimes a journalist might be assigned to interview a person who is a master in his or her field or a big personality. For example, a movie star, a well-known player, doctor, or a highly respected musician. In such cases, the interviewer needs to understand the nitty-gritties of the field. Interviewing celebrities require much tactics and careful preparations, so only senior reporters are given these assignments. Now we'll discuss the structure of a news story. Compared to reports, novels and stories, writing styles of news stories are different. Facts of the events are written straight to the point. Inverted pyramid. Most important facts are written first and then come the lesser important points. It is called an inverted pyramid. It was invented more than a century ago. There are few stories which readers read till the last word. Generally, they lead less than half of the stories. Inverted pyramid style of writing helps the readers know about the important facts in the shortest time. When a news is placed on the page, using the inverted pyramid style makes it easier to cut a story from the bottom, if necessary. The structure of the news story consists mainly of two parts: lead or the intro and the body. Lead or intro. It is the opening paragraph of the story. It should have the most important aspects of the story. At the same time, the intro should be short and uncluttered. Generally, readers spend just a few seconds to decide whether to read a story or not. So, the lead should compel the reader to go down the story. How to write a lead? Before writing the intro, you must find out the most important facts of the story. If necessary, note down the important facts, put them in order of importance. Find out what is news, useful, interesting, or significant. For example, if a large number of people are injured or dead in an accident, the story must start with this fact. Good leads answer as many of the 5 W's and H as possible, but you need not answer all of them in the intro itself. If an important person says something, it is not necessary to mention him in the beginning. Readers always want to know the facts, so it must come first. For example, if the finance minister announces increasing the tax rate on cars, readers would like to know about the tax rate, not about the person who said this. In a hard news story, the lead should be a summary of most of the important facts. Soft stories generally begin with a literary lead to draw the attention of the readers. After writing, read out the lead, eliminate the words that are confusing or seem unnecessary. Keep it crispy. Now let us discuss types of leads. Generally, 5 types of leads are used to begin a news story. Straight or summary lead. These are used in hard news. Most important facts are mentioned in the lead. It is the most common and traditional style of writing. Blind lead. No precise information related to the news or the event is mentioned in the beginning. It creates a confusion in the minds of the readers. From the second paragraph, they come to know what is happening. Suspended interest lead. In this format, a stimulator kind of information is given in the beginning. Then the story runs in chronological form so that the reader remains engaged till the end of the story. Generally, long format stories are written in this fashion. Quote lead. Normally, it is said that a news story should not start with a quote. But if there is a quote which expresses the idea you want to get across the story, you can use it as a lead. Question lead. It is used to answer one question by which readers get an idea about the story. But this kind of lead should be used only when there is something very important to begin with. Apart from all the above mentioned information, there are circumstantial leads which mention circumstances of the news, and tabulated lead when there is no prominent fact and all the facts are of the same value. Body of a story. As mentioned earlier, news stories are written in the inverted pyramid style. In this style, after the intro comes the body of the news. Details supporting the facts or the statements mentioned in the intro and other less important information make the parts of the body. Body can be written in three ways: in chronological order, in descending order of importance, or combination of these two. Whichever option is chosen, story must be clear and simple to the readers. Sometimes jumping from one key point to another looks absurd and it might confuse the reader. So, proper sequencing and continuity is also necessary. Sometimes few extra words might be needed to link the two different key points. But a reporter should not write his or her own opinion in the story. If any new, uncommon or technical word is used, it must be explained. Abstract sentences must also be explained. Before submitting the story, a journalist should read it several times and check if there is any mistake or any detail that is missing in the story. Find out if 5 W's and H are answered. Verification. Making false statements and claims by political leaders is becoming very common these days. These people want us to believe that whatever they are saying is true. The New York Times reported that the President Donald Trump during his presidency lied several thousand times. Of course, there are universal truths, but there are also facts and figures which need to be checked before writing a story. If someone makes a claim, it is the duty of the journalist to verify the same from other sources. If there is no way to verify the said fact, it is safe to write it. It could not be verified independently. For a journalist, this verification is quite necessary because falsified facts might hamper his credibility and that of his newspaper as well. Quotes. In print media, voices are heard through quotes. Quotes not only bring life to the story, but it also reduces the risk of misreporting. If there is a very important announcement or a very controversial statement, it can be carried as a quote. Exact words of the person are written within the quotation marks. This is called a direct quote. A journalist should not put his own words in a person's mouth, but grammatical mistakes can be corrected. Quotes should increase the reader's interest in the story, reveal something critical, move the story forward, or add a unique angle to the story. In long format stories, quotes are used many times, but each quote should either reveal a person's character, describe a point, or present an opinion. It is not always necessary to use quotes in a story. If it is not adding an element to the story, better avoid it. Sometimes indirect quotes are used in which few words are changed for clarification. There is also a paraphrased quote in which ideas of a person are used but not his or her exact words. Quotation marks are also not used. There are partial quotations in which a combination of direct and paraphrased quotations are used. Only a few words are placed within quotation marks. Attribution. Attribute is nothing but mentioning of the source. These are necessary because it brings credibility to the story. It is better to mention all the second-hand information and criticisms through attributes, but undisputed facts should not be attributed. Attribution can be of two types. In on-the-record attribution, name of the source is written, whereas in on-background attribution, name of the source is not revealed. Proper punctuating the attribution is necessary. It should be like he or she or the name said so and so. But while attributing a long title to a person, the order is reversed. For example, open quotes, sentence, close the quote. Said Ms. Gopinathan, Asia Pacific head at the IMF. If there is a long quotation, attribution should be put in the beginning. Writing, Mr. Singh said, or he said, repeatedly might be boring, so it might be used wisely. Instead of said, words like asked, suggested can also be used. Features and articles. Feature stories are different from hard news. These are mostly human interest stories. News element is always there in features, but it is not written in the beginning. The purpose of feature stories are to humanize, to educate, to add color, or to entertain the reader. Attempt is made to involve the readers emotionally. A feature can be an independent story or it can be carried along with the main story. Generally, these are not written in inverted pyramid form. It might be in chronological order, bringing climax at the end. It can be started with an example and then discuss the topic. Normally, these stories are theme-based, which work as a thread to hold the story together. Types of features. Though feature stories keep evolving, still it can be classified into following types. Human interest stories. A dissimilarity of a person or a group of people is portrayed in the stories. It might contain emotional, practical, or entertainment value. For example, a story can tell how social media is changing human relationships. News feature stories. It is written along with the main story. For this, extensive research and interviews are done. Sometimes a different point of view might emerge after interviewing many people. Post-event stories. Coverage of an event is written as hard news, but there might be many things of human interest which could be part of a feature story. For example, after completion of the IPL, a story can be curated on performance of big players. Trend stories. In these stories, changes that are occurring in different aspects of life are featured. For example, what are the new trends in fashion, emerging tourist attractions, how reading habits are changing, etc. Analytical stories. It not only explains the background of an event but also its future aspects. For example, during the farmers' agitation against new agricultural laws, there were many analytical stories in which previous experiences of minimum support price (MSP) as well as the situation that might emerge after the new laws were discussed. Personality profile. In these features, profiling of one or more people is done. Life or a certain period of life of a person is portrayed. It could be related to a person's achievements or the struggles faced by him. Normally, a person's background, his hobbies, influence on others are featured in these stories. Informal features. These are the stories of historical, social, and practical interest. The basic purpose of these stories is to inform the readers. For example, if an event is going to happen at a certain place, then the historical importance of that place could be a feature story. Feature loads and body. As features are not hard news, the beginning should be inviting. Summary lead is avoided in features. First, 1 or 2 paragraphs are written in such a way that arouse the reader's interest. After that, the news peg or the significance of the story is written. It is necessary so that readers could know why the story is being written. As the story unfolds, many vital pieces of information are written in body. Some backgrounds and quotes are also used in between. Normally, writers and the story with the climax linking to the lead. Article. An article is a piece of writing on a current topic. Articles are objective in nature. It could be about an event or a public concern, but it must be of contemporary importance. There are opinion articles also which are written by subject experts. In a newspaper, articles can be seen every day on edit and open pages. Difference between article and feature. There are some basic differences between an article and a feature story. As mentioned earlier, an article is a brief write-up on a current topic. Most of the articles are opinionated. On the other hand, features are detailed, interpretive, and analytical reports. It might contain interviews, statistics, and visual elements too. Recap. So, in this episode, we learnt about interviewing. In-depth research is the most critical factor in preparing for an interview, as it helps in framing questions. An interview is successful only when some new information comes out. We also learnt about the structure of a news story, inverted pyramid style of writing, and different types of news leads. We learnt about the importance of attribution and verification in a news story. We also understood what a feature story is, different types of features, and how these are different from an article. Conclusion. Whether we are going for an interview, writing a news story, a feature, or an article, The importance of research and background can never be undermined. It brings confidence to journalists during interviews. At the same time, it strengthens his stories. Though it is a bit time-taking, it makes his or her output satisfactory. That is all that we had for you in today's episode. Hope it helped you in understanding the topics. We will soon get back to you again with another interesting topic. Till the next time, it's a goodbye.